After the tornado of 1953 struck downtown Waco, all power was off in the area, interrupting communications and radio broadcast. After only an hour, a local radio station was able to get back on the air using an emergency generator. What you're about to hear is a recording of the actual broadcast that originated from downtown Waco over WACO radio within an hour or so of the impact of the devastating storm that killed 114 people on May 11, 1953.
My trouble was staying out from underneath the cars because they was moving. I finally managed. There was glass from across the street from the windows over there. I think it was Grass, Goldstein, or somebody who kept hitting the area above my head, and the falling glass was another thing that really gave me problems, but I didn't get cut. Well, I felt it. I'll tell you something. It sucked the air out of my lungs. It acted just exactly like I had fallen on my stomach and the chest, knocked the breath out of me. I don't know, I suppose it was vacuum. But I tell you, there was so much dust, it was just like getting sandblasted.
E.L. Parker, Route 7, Box 197. Evelyn Busby, South 8th. Henry, California, 118.5 South 2nd. Bill Wills, Route 1, Waco. David A. Yonder, James Connolly. Rafferty, Mr. Clyde Rafferty, 2201 Reuter. Alexander Pappas, 530 Herring. Maisie Norris, no address. Daniel Dominguet. Daniel Dominguet, 43 Jefferson Alley. Lee Shelton, 725 Hood. Rube Livingston, 1211 Kellum. Mrs. Juanita Potts, no address. Clara Faye Osborne, 932 North 11th. Willie Hoskin, no address. Mrs. McWilliams, Lakeview. Clarence Washington, 310 Spate. Hattie Moore, Gaiety Hotel. Charles Tarver, no address. William Schmaltz, no address. That's a total of 51 injured, still in Providence Hospital. 6 people were dead on arrival at Providence Hospital. Before we give the list of names from Hillcrest, we have this emergency call. An emergency call for Harry Beck, Airman First Class, Connolly Air Force Base. Report to weather station at Air Base immediately. This man is somewhere working on relief duty. Harry Beck, Airman First Class of Connolly Air Force Base. Report to weather station at Air Base immediately. This man is somewhere doing relief work. And now this list of names from Hillcrest. Bertha May Ledbetter, James Hadley, J.T. Thomas, E.I. Talbert, Adele Sidney, Ed Tolliver, P.L. Bennett, Oscar Evans, Ted Lucenay, Lester Hubbard, Willie Lee Bowen, Marion Hamilton, Louise Ann Strive, Nearly Belton, James Johnston, Roy McDowell, Mrs. Robert Russell, J.P. Brewington, Mr. J.D. Gillum, Mr. Carl Snow, Mrs. O.D. Evans, Mrs. J. Ginsburg, Mrs. Nellie Kent, Mrs. John Blake, Mrs. Patton of Dennis Gift Shop. All of these people are patients in Hillcrest Hospital. They are merely injured. They're still in Hillcrest. This list of names treated and gone home at Hillcrest. 18 people have been treated and gone home. 24 are still in Hillcrest. Willie W. Chandler, Beryl Stringfellow, Oscar Evans, Dr. W.G. Sorrell, Dale Dobit, Mrs. Canary Slayton, Lynn Lawrence, Leon Aronson, Gilbert Al Johnson, J.B. Darwin, Mr. Gass, A.C. Barron, Abe Levy, Mrs. Roy Temple, Cyril Davis, Fred Williams, Ed Tarvell, Paul Beeman. Those 18 people have been treated at Hillcrest and have been sent home. 24 people are still in Hillcrest with injuries, and some 51 are in Providence. 6 have been pronounced dead on arrival at Providence Hospital. And now back to downtown Waco and Doug Reams.
We're speaking much more from the mobile unit in downtown Waco now. We're at the corner of 4th and Washington, or 5th and Washington is. We're going to try to get in by the Amicable Life Building if we can from this direction. We are seeing people all the time trying to get permission to move in a little bit closer if we can. Vehicles are backing out from in front of Holt Sporting Goods Company. There is a City of Waco emergency truck coming out at the present time and a large bus from James Connolly Air Force Base. The scene around Archie Dennis and Company now, or what is left of it, the rubble that is left of it, is completely floodlighted. They have gotten emergency power down here, and of course the truck from James Connolly Air Force Base has been there all along. Jack, I believe we're going to have to wait until this bus gets out before we can get up in there. We see the scene down there completely illuminated now by large floodlights, both of the emergency electrical service and the mounted trucks too. The building is looking like a teepee now. The floors are just sticking straight up in the air, overlapping each other. The huge derrick down there from James Connolly Air Force Base is lifting the steel beams and the wooden platforms off piece by piece. Workmen are in there with saws, sawing them half in two, trying to get some of the boards out of the way so they can dig down plug into the debris. We were told a few moments ago by that over in the Palace Bar, there are people trapped in there. They don't know how many, but they do know there's some trapped in there. We'd make no estimate on it whatsoever. But we were told by reliable witnesses that people were still trapped in there at the present time. We're moving along with the emergency vehicles now, right up to the corner of 5th and Austin. We're going to get as close as we can to the corner where all of the debris is.
Doug, as you're moving up there, we'd like to break in here for just a moment to give you these list of names of people positively identified, these people known dead. At Wilkerson Hatch Funeral Home, Mimi Ola Graves of 2017 Park. Victor Sermus. Billy Vernon Taylor, 1611 North 21st. A woman who was in Chris Cafe, no name. She was alive when taken out of the cafe but died on the way to hospital. A colored man who also died on the way to the hospital. 5 people known dead now at Wilkerson Hatch. At Connolly's, one person, Jerry Utley, 2425 Sanger, brother-in-law of one of the Piazza brothers. At Compton's, there are 15 people dead. Clarence L. Potter, Dennis Peoples, Steve Heath, George Pappas, Edward Hoare, E.A. Sermus, Edward Sims, or Ed Lewis Jr., a colored male from Anson, Texas, a Burtress boy, son of Sergeant Eddie Burtress of Waco Police, Francis Nemmer, Cecil C. Berry, 1 unidentified white female, 3 unidentified Negro females, and Stan Skiles. 15 people there. We have a total here then of 21 people known dead thus far. And now once again back to downtown Waco.
We've got it back now, and while Ted is headed out the studio, we have moved right to the corner of 5th and Austin, right here by the Amicable Life Building. Once more, we look up at that ironic clock on the First National Bank that's broken and stopped at 20 minutes until 5 o'clock. We have a man here that we want to have you meet, a young man that's been on the scene for quite some time now. What is your name, sir?
Martin.
Martin, and you're from James Connolly Air Force Base?
Right.
Is that right? How long have you been working here with the rescue crews now?
About 5 o'clock.
Can you tell me some of the things you've seen?
This down there, Second and Franklin, I've seen rescue about 7 people up there. And then it's Dennis furniture is all underwater. They brought about 5 of them out of there.
Yeah. That's something they've been having trouble with, is the leaking gas, and the glass, and of course the broken gas mains and the water that's standing in the street that they're attempting to pump off. Now, didn't you tell me a moment ago that you've seen overseas service?
Right.
And how could you compare this with something you've seen overseas?
Well, this is pretty rough right here. I haven't seen it too bad overseas.
Well, we thank you for talking with us, and your name again was Martin?
Right.
Okay, thanks a lot for talking with us. We have more gentlemen standing around here. What's your name, please?
Black.
Sir?
Black. Dale Black.
You're with the hospital
Yes, sir.
out of James Conley?
Yes, sir.
Have you been working on the stretcher?
Yes, sir.
How many have you carried away
There's
so
been
far?
2 went out to my knowledge.
2 of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you very much for talking with us. If you don't mind, we're going to stand here on the front of your car and on this ambulance and see if we can see a little bit further over the crowd. The main part of the rescue operation is taking place here right now on the corner of 5th and Austin. The workers are taking time about. I wish you could get some idea of the number of civilian, military, and National Guard rescue workers that are working on top of what is left of the rubble of R.T. Dennis and Company at the present time. There are literally hundreds of people scattered over the building helping to get these people out. And we have someone here to talk to, I believe. Let's see. Who is this right here? Officer Lillard. Officer Lillard, have you been up on top of what's left of the Dennis building?
Just came from there.
What did you see up there?
Well, we found 4 that we think's alive, and we know we found 4 or 5 that's dead.
In other words, you've just come back from there right now.
Fixing to go back again.
All right, thank you very much for that report, Officer Lillard of the Waco Police Department. Once more, we'll get back up on our vantage point now, see what we can see. I'd like to tell you, sir?
You haven't seen W.R. Genders, have you?
No, I sure haven't, sir. Thank you. Let's see. There's that huge crane from James Conley Air Force Base that the boys are operating now, getting up to the top of the debris of R.T. Dennis and Company. There's a bulldozer over there that's pushing things out. What is left of the front of the coffee cup there's about a foot of water over in that corner that they're trying to clear out at the present time. There's 2 large trucks from James Conley Air Force backed up in that area, trying to get them out, and they're hauling away truckloads of debris after truckloads. We look over here in front of Chris's Cafe there by the Joy Theater, and you know there was a great big sign up there. I suppose it was 35, 40 feet tall, and that sign is just wrapped around like a pretzel, and it's laying across the front of the building now. Part of it's down in the street. We see the Harlech sign down there that is all a skitter. But what everyone has been trying to figure out is that the Amicable Life building is standing here literally unscathed, and there is the Roosevelt Hotel down there that appears to have no damage from here. Even the sign on top of it appears to have no damage whatsoever. For some reason or another, this tornadic-type wind has just dipped down here at the corner of 5th and Austin and has crushed this row of buildings in this one particular spot so terrifically and did no damage, hardly at all, to these other buildings surrounding it. Now, please don't get the mistaken idea that all of the damage is centered here at 5th and Austin. Of course, the greater part of it is centered here because when you have a 6-story building to collapse completely, that is damage unmistakably. But other buildings in a greater than 7-block area around the heart of downtown Waco are damaged too, particularly the smaller buildings, 1 and 2 stories only. These buildings, the fronts of them have fallen into the street. Just huge sections of brick and huge sections of concrete have crushed the automobiles that were parked along the curb. Of course, at 20 minutes till 5, it could not have been, I don't believe, a more disastrous time unless it could have caught more people on the street after they had gotten off at 5 o'clock. But can't you imagine all the people that were in the building just before quitting time at 5 o'clock? Of course, the Dennis store, you heard Officer Lillard's report just a moment ago, the other things that we've told you. But getting back to the area down on the other side of the square and surrounding the square itself, even down on Bridge Street, those buildings down there are leveled. I think I saw one building standing intact on Bridge Street. The nurses and doctors downtown here have been wonderful. We see a nurse now over in the lighted area with her white headdress working feverishly over someone there. And other rescue workers, you'd be surprised how your fellow citizens have put their shoulder to the wheel, so to speak. People who were downtown at the time of this catastrophe have simply shirked any food whatsoever, any thought of going home, and all they have done is just help and then help some more. We've talked to people who are terrifically tired and exhausted, but they have no feeling for themselves at all. All they want to do is to see if they can dig into this rubble and find people who are alive but who are trapped in there and get them out if possible and take them to the hospital. The ambulances are working one right after the other. Every funeral coach in Waco appears to be down here helping to get people out. Phil, you've just come back from over there, what?
Right, Doug. We've just been in there and just seen a lady, and I've gotten her name. She's up in the back there. I just came off, gotten down off the back of Genesis. Her name is Lily Watkins, and she is alive. She's slightly injured, but she's just pinned under now, and as soon as they get her out, she'll be all right. And then the elevator operator was trapped on the 5th floor, but her cab prevented her from being injured. So the elevator operator and a Lily Watkins, Miss or Mrs., we don't know, those two people are definitely alive.
Well, good. Thank you very much, Phil, and if you can get some more reports for us, we'd certainly appreciate it. We ran into Larry Rasco of Dallas KRLD and helped him out with a broadcast for the folks in Dallas a few moments ago. And he told me that one of his crew with him had seen the New London disaster, and he said that New London was nothing to compare with this. In fact, he too had been to Texas City, and he said this was just below the rank of the Texas City disaster. In fact, that you might put it on the par with it. Of course, there is the feeling that the death toll won't run near that high. Of course, there's no way of telling how high the death toll will go. In fact, it may be a day or so or even more before all of the dead can be known, because there are people, I was told a few moments ago by one of the airmen from James Connolly Air Force Base, we didn't even get his name in all of the excitement, but he said around the Bridge Street area, and they're over behind the square, back in those alleys, that there are people trapped in cars that they haven't even gotten to yet. He said the rescue workers are trying feverishly to work in that direction, and they're going that way as fast as they can. But there are people there that they haven't even gotten to yet. You've heard the list of the injured, and some of the dead is reported by Ted Snyder of WACO, as we received them direct from Providence Hospital and Hillcrest Hospital.